Alright, time for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Rankings on the monster designs of the over 100 numbers, or the Barian numbers. And yes, I'm only talking about number 1 to 7. And I'm ranking these based on anime appearances on their design and not by their effect, because if we go by effect, it gets pretty obvious who would win. So how I rank them, like usual, is of course, like I said, based on their design and their base forms first. Because if their base forms don't really look cool, then their evolved forms are not really as hyped up to be as cool, and the base form starts everything off. And also, I will not be including Barian Hope as part of the rankings, as that's basically a combined form of all the over 100 numbers, but for this one I'm mainly ranking the 7 Barian numbers themselves. But in that, let's begin. On the bottom of my list, which is number 7 of course, it is number 106. Mainly because it's a giant hand with some lasers on it, which does make it look menacing, but I can't really take a giant hand seriously. Sealed form, it's basically like a vase. No problem with that, as that's most number sealed forms. But when we go to Chaos number 106, Giant Red Hand, I really like the sealed form where it's just all molten lava. And then when it actually shows up, it's literally corrupted molten lava giant hand with some extra claws. That's pretty scary, especially if you see a gigantic hand, but like I said before, I just can't take a hand seriously, and to me it feels more like an equipped monster than anything. Now to number 6, number 104. The overall aesthetic is fine, although personally it's not really my favorite design since magicians are not really my favorite designs in most media. But the sealed form looks pretty cool, especially with that claw hanging up. And then when we evolve him to Chaos number 104, first off, that sealed form looks amazing with those bat wings. And into the form himself, I really like the cloak and the staff. I think it looks pretty awesome. Now the only downside about his evolved form is that he lost the wings from his base form, which in that part, it's downgrade. Number 5, number 103. So Ragna Zero looks like an ice queen, very fitting for the character. Nothing too amazing, I do like the aesthetic and also the daggers. Although no sealed form, funny enough. And then when we evolve her to Chaos number 103, Ragna Infinity, because 0 to Infinity, she definitely looks like a corrupted dancer ice queen. I really like the spiked up wings along with the double-sided sight. Makes her a lot more menacing along with that spiked up crown. And now to number 4, number 105. Base form Cestus. Definitely looks like a boxer, especially with its archetype that it's in. Also a little bit like a gladiator too, I must admit, especially because it fits the character. Especially with its sealed form being 2 look-alike gauntlets. And then when we evolve him to Comet Cestus, definitely looks like a gladiator, and the backpack looks okay, but I think they should have stayed as shoulder armor. Just my opinion, but I do like the gladiator-like design. And now to number 3, number 102. Base form design looks pretty awesome. I really like the golden armor, especially the aesthetic too. The wings look pretty awesome as well, even though they're pretty generic. Sealed form, I really like that it looks like a staff coming out of a portal. I think that was a neat touch. And then when we evolve him to Noble Demon, I really like how it looks like a corrupted version of his base form, now armed with a spear, which for some reason it actually makes the armor aesthetic look a lot cooler. And now to number 2, number 101, Silent Honor Arc Knight. First off, the base form is in fact a giant spaceship, but the spaceship looks pretty menacing as it is, deploying anchors, capturing monsters, and it definitely looks like it could be something that could fire a giant ass laser. And at the core of Arc Knight, that's where Dark Knight is at, the person piloting the ship. When he gets deployed, the ship transforms into his armor, which I think that's amazing and becomes Dark Knight, which looks amazing especially with that spear. And both monsters definitely look something like they would be deployed underwater, which is very fitting for the character too. So yeah, very awesome. And now to the last one of the list, obviously, it's number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. One, I am a sucker for dragons, so a little biased there, but Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon's aesthetic just looks amazing, especially with that matter-like aesthetic that literally makes it look like a time dragon. Definitely looks awesome. The sealed form is actually pretty cool too. A crystallized diamond that definitely looks like something that could travel through time. And then when we evolve him to Neo Galaxy Eyes, First off, the sealed form looks like a smaller pillar than the last one, which is kinda awkward considering that Neo Tachyon is a bigger dragon that is all gold with 3 heads. Now in my opinion, this form doesn't look as cool as Tachyon, probably because it's a little overboard with all that armor, but still looks evolved at the same time. Although the gold is a little weird, I must admit, because it doesn't really look too much of a time dragon anymore, but nonetheless it looks pretty awesome. Now I really like how this is actually a reverse of Noble Demon. Noble Demon turns gold to purple, but Tachyon turns purple to gold. Kinda like the inverse right there. Now, if I were to rank Barian Hope in this list, because technically Barian Hope kinda counts, I would put him under Dark Knight. Mainly because I do like the armor aesthetic of Barian Hope, but I think he's really bulky with armor, like a little too much. Definitely looks like a guardian, like a Chinese guard, but I really think he should look more like a guardian knight, just to make him look more like a protector of Hope of Barian World. Just my opinion though. So that's it for this ranking. What do you guys think of it? You can go ahead and put down your rankings down below on which over 100 number that you like, from worst to best, because I just gave you mine, so go ahead and tell me yours. And honestly, I really like the Barian Emperors, although some of their monster designs were a little weird. Although to many people, I think the most memorable ones are obviously 107 and 101, mainly because they're generic, and their effects are just really good. Especially with 107 being a galaxy eyes that looks very awesome. But overall, I do like most of the Barian numbers, especially with the Barian Emperors themselves. I mean, I love those characters. Probably my favorite antagonist team of Yu-Gi-Oh! But in that's it for this, and now it's time to say goodbye.